They be switching up like seasons. I'ma keep it real just for one reason. Amen, kill all my demons. Diamonds dance when we hop in the pants while I'm talking. I got niggas that clean nigga check if the check walking.
What up, though? It's the word. You see the title, we gonna talk about it. But first, do me a favor, hit that like, and if you're new, hit that subscribe. It's free to you, but it means a lot to me. Sis Rose, how you doing, Sis Rose? Appreciate you. Yeah, this is a conversation, I had before. I didn't get that many participants, so I figured we'd do it again. Hey, Sis Rose, you can drop your link by typing !word, and it'll drop your link in the chat. Let me put that up there so you'll know. Yeah, but this is definitely JC family. Say what? Yeah, this is definitely a conversation I wanted to have again because the first time there wasn't that many participants, and I figured if I do it a little earlier, we get more people coming in. But then I just checked, and there's a ton of people going live right now. So we don't get that many people. We can back out and redo it. But this is a conversation we need to have because we have a big disconnection between the older generation and the younger generation. And there's a lot of variables involved. And unless we explore them, we'll never know how to solve the issue. And we need to solve it, right? Because the solutions that we need to combat the problems that we have is going to be a group effort. And we're going to have to get some insight from the younger generation and insight from the older generation. So I believe fixing this problem, or at least bridging it, is one of those things that can spark a movement, get an understanding, have us working together. It's so many things that's keeping people disconnected: race, religion, age, sex, preference. It's too many things. We all different. We all have different ideologies. We all was raised different. We have different life experiences, but that don't mean we need to fight and bicker over those small differences, because the things that affect all of us. We can keep being naive and thinking that we can fix our own problems. And a lot of us, I'm not going to say we can't, because I live a comfortable life, to be honest with you. I don't want for anything. I don't have no drama or stress, no. So I'm good. But if I get myself to a certain place in life, I feel like I'm obligated to help others. Me personally, I don't have a problem with the younger or the older generation. I know how to communicate and talk to both of them, but a lot of them don't. Yeah, did you see that PP Petty? Don't let the looks fool you, Juju. Yeah, but yeah, we'll kick it for a minute. I had to push the time back. I know I had Yak coming for sure, and Yak was going to bless the panel. I was hoping Miss April would come through. It's two OGs. I just want to be more in the moderator spot. We need some of that young blood. Actually, let me see if I can get. I know I can get my young buck to come through. You like that one? I gotta put bro in there. Pastor Petty. I know he ain't at work, but yeah, I think communication is a big reason, why we have the disconnection, because just from my observation, the older generation, they were raised a certain way. Now that they older, they believe, that's the way. But this younger generation is different. So communicating with them is a lot different from how when the older generation was young. I was just told to do what I say. Marlene, how you doing, sis? I was told to do what I say, um, and not question it. But the younger generation now, they want answers. They want to know why. They want to know why they're doing what they're doing. Um, and Marlene even said it, the microwavable society. They want to understand the results a lot of times before they get into something. That's just from my own personal experience. I found that just detailing things to them helped out a lot. And like I said, when I was growing up, Nate, what up, bro? And like I said, when I was growing up, I was just told to do what I was said to do. Just do it because I said it. That don't work with the young generation. They want to know why. And another thing too, the younger generation, they look at what you're doing. No matter what the older generation was doing when I was growing up, no matter if they was winos or cowboy mules, what's up? No matter what they was doing, we still had to listen to what they say. Now this younger generation, if they don't see you doing what you're telling them to do, they're not gonna listen. A lot of times, I'm not gonna say all, but some of them. Hey, being the youngest out of 10, I question everything. Why and why is it why? Yeah, and see but to get an answer, you have to question. I just think if we understand one another, we'll understand how to communicate with one another too. You know, like when me and Marlene was doing a build, we was talking about how different men think and how different women think. And if you get an understanding as a woman how a man thinks, like when you want something done, if you tell a man why it's important to you, a lot of times they make that priority. They just want to know why because men think more logically. You know, just like when she was saying, sometimes women just want to vent. Well, when a man hear a problem, he automatically thinking of a solution, and a lot of times women don't want a solution. They just want you to hear them out. They just want to get it off their chest. Um, So it's the same thing with these young people. We just have to learn how to communicate with them. Same thing for the older generation. We have to learn how to communicate with them. But the older generation has to adapt to the younger generation to properly communicate, and the younger generation has to adapt to the older generation to understand how to communicate. It's go be a joint effort. You have to have willing participants. If you don't, it'll never work. No matter how hard you try or how much energy you put into it, it'll never work if you don't have willing participants. That's the thing too. You know, I always say you can't save everybody. You can't help everybody. You're not gonna be able to talk to everybody. I'm not wasting my time neither. I talk to those who choose to listen. Everything is a choice, and the people choose to utilize their time to hear me out, I'm willing to talk as long as they listen, and vice versa. If a person is willing to utilize their time to talk to me, I'm willing to listen. But you have to have willing participants. So even in a discussion, you have to have um, a level of emotional intelligence and not allow a person's personal experience to affect you. And what I mean by that is no matter what a person says, um, like about my generation, right? I'm gonna use myself for an example. Like if a person say, my generation is at fault for the reason, is at fault for the conditions that we're currently in, I can't get mad because guess what? I'm not doing no negative stuff. So even a blanket statement like that won't affect me. We got to stop taking, like when we having these discussions, we can't take, some people at times take personal shots, but you can't take it personal. That's just their experience. You know, Miss Queen, what's up, sis? That's their personal experience. So me personally, I don't take offense to, when people sharing their experience. People will make blanket statements, but like I said, and then it's no back and forth. You know, um, I just really want to hear what a person's perspective is, and then we can try to, seek a solution for it. That's what this is, finding solutions for problems. Because other than that, you just complain and talking about what's wrong. If you ain't seeking a solution or answer or a remedy, you just complaining, and I'm not a complainer. I'm a doer. This is me personally. No shots against nobody. I'm just saying that's just what I do. I don't see the point of talking about a problem if I ain't trying to fix it. That's why I talk about problems, to fix them. Other than that, if I can't fix it, then I understand it ain't for me to fix. You know, um, Give me the wisdom to understand what I can change and what I cannot, and the strength to walk away from what I can't. Rather, Leticia, you like that one, Leticia? It's wise not to be petty towards the third eye. But definitely, there you go. What up, bro? What up, Nation? But definitely, I think, like I said, the biggest issues I think is communication and understanding the differences, right? Like we have to. This is the thing about time. Time evolves everything, and if you don't adapt to the evolution, it's just go past you up. We're not like talking to people who were born like in the 60s. They'd tell you the evolution of time. They seen things change over time, and they had to adapt. But when you stop adapting and just thinking this is the way it's supposed to be, instead of looking at the environment and understanding the situation and adapting to it, it's just go pass you by. How many people really? I got hard lines on my phone because in my house because I have internet, but I don't have a house phone. We got cell phones. We don't need a house phone. I have a house phone on standby. And like I said, I got a hard line. I don't use the house phone. I don't even think nobody got my home number. I use it for faxing. My home number, I use it, for my own business when I fax papers out. But 10, 20 years ago, everybody had a hard line phone. My kids might not really, they'd never see a rotary phone. D in here, what up, D? My kids will probably never see a rotary phone. I know people who don't even know what a rotary phone is. Even think about the way the cell phones changed. I remember having Nextels. Remember the pagers, the sidekicks? These kids never know what a pager is. So we have to evolve. Even I remember AOL Internet when you had to wait for. I remember AOL Internet. You had to wait for the dial up. Kids never know what that is. You got the internet on your phone now. I remember minutes. So times change and we have to adapt to the change. And that means the way things were when we were younger, it's not like that no more. And we can be naive and think that it has to stay like that, or we can adapt to it. And adaptation is not throwing out everything that you know. It's just understanding the changes. So a lot of the old ways, we still need those. So that's why I say we still need the elders. We still need a lot of those old ways because that's where our morals, our values, a lot of our pride, a lot of that stuff came from those old ways. But we have to implement those old ways with the new style. Just like look at a car. You know, you don't even have carburetors on cars no more. I remember how tedious it was to take apart a carburetor and rebuild it. They don't even have carburetors on cars no more. So everything changes and adapts, and we have to adapt. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we didn't do as a people. We didn't adapt to the changes well enough. We still try to force those old ways, but like I said, we can try. You can. It hasn't been working. And like I said, what works for me, communicating with both, is understanding where they are, communicating to them. Marlene said it yesterday. You have to properly communicate. You have to meet the person where they're at. I can't talk to my 3-year-old like an adult and expect them to understand what I'm saying. Not saying, Selena, what up? Not saying these young people are kids, but I'm saying we have to understand them to properly communicate with them. If they ask why, we can't get upset and mad. Tell them why. And if you can't tell them why, that's sad. If you're telling someone to do something, you can't explain to them the benefits or why they should do it, then that's a problem in my eyes. Because even me personally, I'm going to ask why. Marlene just said she going to ask why. Miss Queen No, what's up? Um, I'm going to ask why. Because I need to know how things function and how it operates. So, in my opinion, I think that'll help, to all the older generation people listening. If a youngster asks you why, just explain to him why. There's no hurt, no harm, no foul in it. Just explain to him why it's beneficial. And the young people, you got to understand that these older people, they've been on this planet for a long time. They experienced a lot of things that you probably would never see. So use a bit of humility and listen, you know. Even if bad information, if you told bad information, at least you know how it sounds, you know. That's what I was always told. Listen to everything, even the bad stuff, because then you'll know how that sounds. You take what you can use and you spit the rest out and keep it moving, you know. And remember, young people, you gonna be old one day. You gonna be old one day. You gonna be the elder, and before you can lead, you got to learn how to follow. Because you ain't a good leader if you don't know what the people following you is supposed to do and how they supposed to do it. So to lead, you have to learn how to follow first. Do as you're told, not as you see. Yeah, my dad used to tell me that. And see, that's, you know what? The young generation don't get that, but that's how you learn from other people's mistakes right there. Is you doing as someone told. Just because like people, some of the best information I ever got was from a wino, right? Some of the best information I ever got was from a drunk and alcoholic. And he taught me how not to be like him. So a lot of times when the older generation say do as I say, not as I do, because they don't want you to make the same mistakes what they did. They learn from their mistakes. And sometimes it might be too late for them. They might have made mistakes that they can't recover from, or they're still currently recovering, and they seeing you going down that path and they trying to prevent you from going there. So looking at where they at now and not listening to them, that's just ignorance. That's pure ignorance. My bad, I'm getting in the chat. And definitely, if y'all want to add anything, definitely y'all feel free to hit the link. And what is the time to tell you why is the time it takes to save them, drop something dangerous. And see, and that's what I'm saying, Miss Queen. Um, like for me, conveying that message with these young people, I'm gonna be honest, you have to have I'm not go candy coated, the young and the older generation. You just have to have patience. You have to have patience. The difference is the young generation, the older people, I'm not going to say none, but most older people ain't jumping out the window doing nothing crazy. It's the young people that's fearless and don't understand that death is around the corner for everyone. So they take more risk. So, um, but you have to have patience with both. And, just from experience with me personally, I had to bump my head before I can fully listen, you know. Um, so just, we all, most of us here are older. And, we did a lot of things, and we had to learn from our own experiences, even though we were told. So we got to understand that when we talking to the young people too, that we didn't listen when we was young. Not all the time. I listened most of the time. I didn't listen all the time though. Some things I was told not to do, I had to see why for myself. So we have to take that in consideration too. We all were young. Life, what up, sis? Look, what are your thoughts on the evolution of the moral compass? And see, not even that, right, Leticia? Everybody morals are a bit different. Do we have like a standard? I mean, I guess we can say it's. I don't think we have like a standard for morals. So I think everybody morals are different. Like I know a lot of people morals are way different from mine, and I don't judge. But like as a whole, um, just looking at society, what I can observe, um, I don't think, I don't think, I don't think a lot of people even. I used to have like me growing up, having morals and values was something big. I don't think it's big no more. You know, I don't think people take a lot of pride in themselves. I don't think people take pride in their family. I did. You know, morals was huge for us. Kicking it with the rooks. My sis, Marlene, before you speak, I want to tell you something. I appreciate you so much. You gave me tears of joy this morning. I felt every word you said. I was literally crying and it felt good. Not nothing bad. It was all good. You fired me up and I appreciate you for that.
Thank you. I was crying too.
I was right with you, sis.
Yeah.
That was a very. If y'all not subbed up to Marlene Motivates, y'all really need to, because she be kicking game on there, and she literally had me in tears. She had me feeling so good and so fired up. I was ready to go. Um, I got to get my roof done. I was ready to do it myself. I just know, I'm serious. I'm dead serious. Like, um, I appreciate you for that, and that's we need. That's why I'm blessed to encounter people, especially like you, because we feed off each other. We need that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Um, I just basically came up here to say, um, when I was younger, I had old fashioned, old school parents that they never used to talk to you about anything. And I felt like it was not good. Actually, I believe a lot of things is dangerous. And I remember telling my mom that one day, like, okay, back in the day, parents never used to talk anything about sexuality. And one day I told her, I was like, I would rather hear it from you, mom, than ask my peers who don't know anything about it either. So which one do you want? Because I can go ask them. So then that's when she started talking to me about things, because you got to have conversations with children, and I get it that some conversations may be uncomfortable, but really, where do you want your kids to hear it from, or younger people in the family? Where do you want to hear it from people who are inexperienced, who don't know what they're talking about? Because when you're younger, you're gullible. Well, at least I was very gullible. Anything that somebody would say, I'd be like, oh, for real, and I would want to follow it. And because I went down a lot of dark paths, because I was not taught a lot of things, and I feel like that led to me being in a down a rabbit hole for a long time, because I didn't understand that I was going down a dark path, because I was not warned about certain things, like that's not good, and you shouldn't do this, and you shouldn't go here, and things like that.
And we had conversations like this, but I think that's important that we learn from the mistakes of our parents. Me, you and Sugar was talking about this the other day. Um, Things that they did that we understood, but it didn't quite work out for us. We need to teach the youth different. And I think that's a great explanation of why we should explain things, why we should have the conversations that may be uncomfortable with our kids. Because if we don't, someone else will. So who would you rather have the conversation? Someone who love you or someone who really don't care and may manipulate or take advantage of them?
And I like what you said a little earlier. Um, I think because, I had older parents. My mom was 40 or 41 when she had me. And I understand she's still thinking that things were like it was when she was my age. I was like, Mom, it don't work that way anymore. There's no like you wait for somebody and you court them, and then next thing you get married. I said, don't work that way no more. I said, girls ask guys. Like she just was like, what? She's like, no, you can't do that. I was like, yeah, Mom. If you sit and wait, you will never find somebody. And she was like, well, I couldn't do that. So she would never agree with that, and she always made it seem like it was wrong. But we have to understand as we get older, even me, some of the things, like I have a nephew and he's 4, and he says things to me which I don't agree with, but I listen to him because that's his personal truth. And as we grow as adults, we have to understand that people are operating from their level of personal truth. Things change as you get older, and you got to look at the younger people and say, hey, what's going on? Because you're not out there in school anymore or in different situations like it used to be. So you really don't understand. You can't say you know how it feels to be a young person because you're not a young person today.
Exactly. Courtney's appreciate you, sis. Rooks came in the building. APTV. What up, brother? Um, and that's the like talking to like my uncles and stuff, because all of us, like my generation, my cousins, we were raised under that old school guideline, so we listen. But when they try to talk to like my nephew, for instance, they can't get through them, and they clash. And I tell them like it's different, even though you feel that it works on us and it still should work. It's not. You have to talk to them from where they at to understand. So like now when my nephew running wild, he get on the phone with me for like 30 minutes. They be like, oh, he calmed down. And it's because I know how to talk to him.
I always can talk to the younger people in my family because I know what it felt like. Because like my sisters and brothers, they still are operating the old fashioned way. Like, you know, I don't have to tell you nothing, but I don't feel that way. I said, you shouldn't tell your kids, turn off the light and stop wasting money and stop doing this. Show them why. Why should you turn off the light? Because, hey, here, because my dad started doing that, showing me how much the light bill is. So every time you flip that switch, the bill goes up. See, when a kid gets that kind of connection, then I started thinking differently. I was like, stop wasting daddy's money, you know? So it's a whole different vibe when you can have a connection, and some people have to have the connection, some people don't. But it's always good to train a child, from you think because you already got it and you're there, that a child gets it and they're there too. And you need to show them, like, don't make the same mistakes. Hey, save some money, open these accounts, do certain things. And here's why: because you'll save yourself from being stressed out about X, Y, and Z. And that's how you bring the younger generation up to the older generation. You got to break the barriers.
Exactly. Monique, what up, sis? Appreciate you. Now I think just probably because of our age and because we experience both, right? We experience the old school ways and we understand the young generation because a lot of the things the old school ways had affected on us, we understand why we didn't like it. So I think that's easy to communicate. But how do we get the younger people um, up to speed with the older people?
Well, my personal belief is I just told, like, I don't have no problem telling my nieces, nephews, and little cousins how it was when I was in school. I don't feel like it was that long ago, but it was 20 years ago. Like, when I was in school, this is how it was, and this is the things that happened in school. And then there's like, okay, well, in school, this is how it is. And it's shocking to me, but you don't want to be like, don't listen to them, because if you don't listen to them, they're going to go to somebody else. So I told my nieces, nephews, my little cousins that you can always talk to me about anything that's going on, because they got to have somebody that they can talk to before they just jump into something that could be dangerous, because the older generation doesn't want to listen to them.
Yeah. And see, like a lot of pushback, like even like this conversation, how we saying explain, just explain. And like people in our age range, like, yeah, that's a good idea. But the older people, I still get a lot of pushback, like, nah, they just gonna respect me. And I mean, I understand what they're saying because I grew up like that. But like I said, times has changed. So we have to adapt and evolve. And um, I just think the older people, they have to accept that it's different now. And once they accept it, I think it'll make it'll just be easier for them to communicate.
Yeah, well, my mom was that way, the word. She said she wasn't going to explain nothing that she was saying to no kids. She's like, I'm grown and it's because I said so, and that's it.
Okay, Alonzo, I just had to make sure you was a real person. I got porn bomb before. Uh,
Nah, I feel you. I've heard that somebody actually, that's why I changed my photo, because apparently somebody took my photo and has been floating around online with one of my older photos. So
oh,
this stuff is crazy. I'm like, yo, I don't do nothing but sell life insurance. Why y'all trying to be me? But
yeah, people will do it. Welcome to the show. Appreciate you. I
thank
don't know
you.
if I ever seen you in the chat. Are you new to the channel?
I'm not that new. We actually met on a panel a little while back. Um,
Oh, okay, yeah, you the financial advisor. I've been looking for when I recognize. Okay, yeah. Hey, people, this Mr. Alonzo Hall is a great mind. He is a financial advisor. He the man. Um, appreciate you stopping through, bro.
No doubt. I was just, I'm doing my panel rounds, and when I see, especially folks such as yourself, and we have poignant topics about, situations in life, I always like to hop on and, just, show my face and all that good stuff. Plus, like you said, man, in terms of, being a financial advisor with, folks who look like us, I think it's important that, we're around, and even like such as yourself, don't be a secret agent, bro. Always let folks know what you do, because you got into the business for a reason, right? And part of that is to really help people, including our own. So, one of those things is don't be a secret agent. Make sure you always tell folks what it is that you do.
I appreciate that, and I'm about to start another channel. And it's gonna have a lot of like mentoring ship on there for adults and kids, and that's when I'm gonna really, promote my services out to people because I'm trying to
Okay.
create a network where if anybody need any resource, they can come to that page, and if I don't have it, I can refer them out to other people. So I'm trying to create a spider web. Um, but yeah, definitely. Like a lot of people know that I'm into life insurance, I'm into real estate. But I don't like promote my services, not on this channel. But I'm
I
definitely
got you.
about to do it.
I got you. Yeah, but I didn't mean to distract. I literally saw you was on. I was like, yo, this brother be on. Let me come up. Oh, the stream. Let me hop on. And I'm sorry, ma'am. I didn't mean to interrupt you. So go ahead and keep going.
Oh no, I appreciate you coming through. I just dropped your link in the chat. Y'all please connect with this brother. Hopefully in the future we gonna be doing some more builds. This brother is intelligent. He put me up on game. He's in a field where I'm going towards, in financial advising right now. I just have my life insurance license. Uh, but that's part one, or that's the first step of getting me to where this brother at. So definitely check him out and support him, because he got a lot of information, and he's one of those people who trying to help the community. So make sure you connect with him.
Appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that love.
Oh, for sure. Hey, man, you got to do that. I mean, just the energy and the effort that you put out for the people, informing them, making them aware, and giving them the information they need to help. You need to be seen, because a lot of people, even in this chat, is looking for that. So just knowing that, like I said, trying to create that network of people where if someone has a question, that we can give them an answer. So. Uh, But let me ask you your opinion while we got you up here. The disconnection between the older and the younger generation. How can we fix that? Like, what is some things you think we can do to help remedy that?
That's a great question. Um, and as I'm getting older and becoming part of the older generation, I think one of the major things is older generations have to step back and let the younger generations do what they do. If we're talking about specifically in our community, we have to realize that people like Huey Newton and Bobby Seale were, teens and 20s, and they were making revolutionary moves, right? So it's not do as I say, not as I do, because what ends up happening is at a certain age, you have responsibilities, and you don't have the same fight to have revolution. Now with that disconnect, I think it is changing when we talk about people who are 45 and under with our kids, because we experience that do as I say, not as I do, as the young lady was mentioning prior. Parents say, I ain't telling no kid this, that, and the third. Unfortunately, that leaves a kid unequipped to be an adult, because you expect that from 17 and 364 days old, they're a child and stay in a child's place, and then at 18, hey, you're a grown adult, you should know. It don't work like that. You got to kind of educate us on our stuff.
And
And
I,
I'll stop there.
and I think that's powerful. Marlene, you want to input on that before me?
Yeah, that was always the issue that I had growing up. I understand my parents, they was busy. They had 10 children, not one, not five, 10. So, they were busy. They didn't have time to keep stopping and explaining anything. But my other siblings, that was okay, the first nine. But when number 10 came, I wanted to know why for everything. Why, and why is it why? I didn't stop at why. Why is it why? So you have to have somebody in the family to ask why, because I'm sure my other siblings wanted to know, but somebody has to be courageous to find out why. And I'm glad that I asked the questions why, because now my parents aren't here and I know the reason why they did what they did at the time, because I asked the question, and the ones who didn't ask, now they still have question marks in their mind.
That's deep.
I bet I was on mute. Hey, Blue, I hope you got my mango juice, sis. I had to pick with her. But it's funny you said that, Alonzo, because I always tell people we all have roles, right? And I think the older generation, I think their role is should be to guide, and take that step back and let the younger generation take the wheel, and they be more like a navigator. It's like you said, as we get older, we accumulate more responsibilities, and if it's us hitting the streets, it's not going to be the older people, it's going to be the younger people. So we have to understand that to guide or lead someone, you have to explain. We can't just tell them to do this and do that. We have to give them detail, and relinquish the role. Let the young people have the rings. You know.
I mean, I'll even take it as far, this is my personal opinion. But even things like in child rearing, like I personally don't believe in beatings or spankings, right? Um, people tell me I'm on some WPS, white people ish, because I believe in taking away privileges, and as adults we get privileges taken away, and we get time out for real. Time out for real is jail. So when I say taking away privileges, I literally mean, look, the kid sits in a room, or you sleeping on the floor, and you got an empty room, no TV. You got your clothes and stuff, but no TV, no toys, and you in the room 3 days straight. They'll start to guts you up, because in the real world, from 17 to 18, right? When they turn 18, if I'm whooping them, well, that's putting a mention in their head, and then we sort of wonder why a lot of people are out here violent. A lot of that comes from abuse at the home. I know I have friends from when I was younger who were quote unquote, bullies to people, and it's because at home they were getting basically abused. When they are, they acted up and they're getting a spanking, it's way overboard. So then they turn around and take it out on kids. And then as they become adults, they don't know how to deal with it. So everything becomes, oh, well, I'm going to beat you up. And now they go to jail.
African Dreamer, appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you, sis. Appreciate y'all blessing me. How y'all doing?
Oh, it's all love, bro. Thank you for having me up. I don't get over here that often. Usually you one of them late night cats. So sometimes when I get up, and I might be taking a break or something, and it's morning time over here. It's like, oh, the word still up here doing this thing. So a lot of time I be in the bushes, just chilling, peeping the conversation. But man, you doing what you always do. You having a real chill, laid back, thought provoking conversation. So shout out for that, and thank you for having me up here, bro.
I appreciate you blessing me, and I know you got some. I know you got some input on this, brother. Uh, how do you
Um,
think we can remedy this? I mean, find a solution to this problem?
uh, man, well, I think some circumstances and situations. Oh, by the way, shout out to everybody in the chat. Somebody just spoke. I just got to look over at the chat. Um, hey, everybody in here. I know many of y'all. Much love to y'all. Uh, I, I'm listening to what my sister Marlene said, what the other brother up here said, and I've been trying to catch up because I didn't catch the whole thing. But look here, man. Life done taught me that some things don't really have a remedy. Sometimes all you can do is make things better, and at least that's my philosophy. In the places that you can make them better, so that's what I try to do. But I think we all born into a world that already exists, and I think we leave this world in a new world that's being formed, depending on how long we live in it. So completely remedying some of these things is completely impossible in my estimation, but uh I don't believe utopias exist. I think we can make things better, but more specifically the relationship between the youth and some of the elders, um I find it to be more of a both and versus an either or, because that whole philosophy of elders completely saying, do as I'm told, do as I say do. And that may be appropriate to a degree, but it's a whole lot of elders, it's a whole lot of sisters and brothers sitting around here in 2023 who had a ill-willed, ill-mannered elder scare the hell out of them so they wouldn't talk about some of the things that was happening to them. So they sitting around bitter and mad, confused, don't know how to share emotions, don't know how to communicate properly, because they sitting on issues that stem from childhood, from one of them elders that they trusted and were only told they should respect, but they didn't know how to confront that demon. That's one aspect of it. Another aspect of it is the youth. Youth gonna do what youth gonna do. Youth gonna be who youth gonna be. I don't know how you corral children or youth in modern society when there are no more phone calls where you do the wrong thing and the neighbors see you. So before you get home, mom and daddy might be waiting like, boy, I already heard. Come on in here. Let's have this conversation. Let me holler at you real quick. Those days are gone. I see things before they get better, leading more and more towards calamity and chaos before a correction of any shape or form ensues. But that's just my observation. It's just an opinion, just like everybody else's. With that being said, bro, I'm just listening. I'm just listening, gathering the opinions and thoughts of others because neither group is specifically right and neither group is specifically wrong. The only constant in my life has been change. And I think that's going to be one thing that will flow with continuation. So, only time will tell, but I don't think this is something you fix. I think this is something that you make better in the places and spaces that you can have impact. And outside of that, baby, we all along for the ride.
And I can feel that 100%. Marlene, you want to chime in on what African Dreamer said before? I want to talk on Leticia's point too.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to Julia's point on, how I grew up was I think parents just operate from their level of consciousness at the time. And all along, with all their kids, besides me, the first 9 kids, they could just say, do as I say. But when I came around number 10, I was like, nah, it don't work that way anymore, Dad. And I used to always get, slapped and beat because I questioned. They thought I was being rude and questioning authority. I said, no, Dad, that's what they teach us in school. You're supposed to have conversations, you communicate. And all of that was new to them, and they started to see, making some changes that, yeah, you do need to tell. And I said, I started getting in my mom and dad's head, like, why shouldn't I come to my mom and dad? If I respect you, it's better if I hear it from you than hear it from somebody else. And then they started to make some changes because they think they said that's the way it was when I was a kid, so it should be that way with you. And I was like, no, it don't work that way. You have communication, you talk, you don't put your hands on each other. You got to get to the solution. Why are the kids acting out? What is the reason why? And then you go from there.
I keep forgetting my mic on mute, but go ahead. Oh no, you good.
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt, bro. I just wanted to say something about what my sister Marlene said. Being from the South, I grew up with a lot of those mindsets and mentalities. Some had purpose, some were purposeless. Um, I think to understand the situation or issue, you can go to the root of the problem. And since humans been around for a long time, it's almost impossible to deviate away to the initial point of origin. But you can go to a point of origin for certain generations, I believe. Whether it be Caribbean, whether it be Southern, up north, whatever. Let's talk about the relationship from the U.S. perspective. A whole lot of the forms of discipline were instilled by persons and ideologies that may not coincide with things that pre-existed them. Not to, excuse me, in no attempt whatsoever to make this conversation a racial issue or race-based, but just to give things some context. When the less than desirable persons from Europe came over here, came over to what's now North America or the United States of America, Puritans were very, very strictly doctrinated people. Now, if you in a position where you literally breaking away from Great Britain at the time, you very well can't have the people that you have residing amongst you having the same ideas about you that you implementing about the people you breaking away from. So the forms of discipline, the ways of discipline, the connections to religion, the ideologies had to be enforced very strongly. During the years of chattel slavery, these same concepts and methodologies were passed on to other people. And if, depending on how far back a person is willing to go in culture and in history, spare the rod and spoil the child wasn't always necessarily the first move from what I've learned, but everybody's studies are different. So with that being said, the whole idea of the way a lot of us were raised, we were raised on 3 different principles. Survival being number 1, a lack of connection and love number 2, and number 3 is probably the most vicious of all, absolute control. When you combine those 3 elements and you look at the current state of society, you look at how it came into fruition and how it came to be what it is in fact, then I think we can all gain a little bit more understanding. How could I receive this level of treatment from my mother? How could I really receive this level of treatment from my father? In order to possess any of those 3, you have to have a certain level of disconnect with a greater goal in mind as an end result. So I can talk to you like this because I'm trying to strengthen you for the world that I lived in. Now, that world might not be the world you growing up in 20 years later, 15 years later, 10, whenever you came into this world. But I know the one that I know, so I'm going to prepare you for that one. It's a very convoluted and vicious cycle, but here we are. I just want to throw that in real quick, bro.
Oh, that's all facts. That's all facts. Yak, what's up, brother?
Yeah, salute.
Salute to you. Riders, appreciate you, sis. There's a whole bunch of people that came in. Rachel, Realist, appreciate everybody. If I missed you, Miss Tracy, who else came in? Rooks, I don't know if I greeted you. Oh, okay. Chocolate Thunder. Okay. Lovey. Okay. Lovey is Chocolate Thunder. Okay. Jack, brother, what's up? What's up?
What's up with you, my brother? Man. Told you I'll be through, man. Always gonna support you with it, bro.
I appreciate you. Yeah, we just we got a powerful build right now. We got some great minds on the panel. We got Brother African Dreamer. We got, always motivational, inspirational Miss Marlene, and we got the man, the myth, the legend. Yeah, appreciate everyone.
Appreciate y'all, brothers.
I want to. I don't know if you can see the screen, but I want to touch on what Leticia just said. Maybe the panel can chime in on how children are being preyed on by elders to the point these folks want to legalize, the pedo word. Grown men and women want to lay down with your babies. And I think she's speaking on how in some states they're trying to lower the
ages.
The consensual age where kids can consent to an adult.
Yeah. Man, can I chime in on that?
Yeah, definitely.
Man, how y'all doing, man? I'm Yak, man. Salute to brother and sister on the panel as well. Man, my take on it, and I actually just did something talking about these type of dudes. I ain't gonna call them men, because you know what I mean, they ain't men for real. But it's like we didn't let our community get oversaturated with a certain type of God, you know what I mean? And they everywhere. And the detachment came where a bunch of us went to jail. You know what I mean? A bunch of us got locked up. I mean, we talk, this ain't just happening. It's a whole domino effect. This started before. The effect is just happening right now. So a whole bunch of us went to jail. A whole bunch of us hit the streets and just didn't handle our responsibility as men. So a lot of women was raising these kids, these boys, by themselves. And the generation that's right now, they come from that generation of sitting around a circle of women, venting, gossiping, chastising, disrespecting the man that left. He might have deserved that shit that they was doing, but that little kid shouldn't have been right in the middle of that. You understand what I'm saying? So he's saying the mothers, these little boys saying the mothers spaz out, wild out, being all erratic. Those are the traits that they picking up. They pick those traits immediately up, and now instead of spazzing out like most women do, screaming, yelling, throwing pots and pans, these little fuckers screaming and yelling and throwing bullets though. That's the difference. They in the generation right now where the access to guns is very, easy. Bullets, very easy. Switches, real easy. And I label them TTMBs. Tender testicle, TTBMs, tender testicle beta males. That's what they are. They're tender testicle beta males. And the shit is real, man. And it's like they have no control over their emotions. They erratic. And there's too many of them in our community, and they willing to violate elders. They willing to violate kids physically and sexually and so on. And we need to get rid of their asses. For real. Spray them like Raid, man.
Sis Marlene, you want to touch on? You know what? Yeah, to your point too. Just growing up in the inner city of Detroit. I'm from Detroit. I seen that transition. When they started getting wilder and wilder, and a lot of these young folks, they don't have, in my opinion, they don't have the same understanding of life, how precious it is, how hard it is to succeed, and they willing to throw it out quick. Picking up a gun, pulling a trigger. They're not understanding how that impacts the family, taking another life. Not only that person gone, but it might be a brother, a father.
Hey, your word. Can I add on real quick? I'm gonna drop right back down. I just want to say something real quick to what he said. We can't really point the finger at the children. It's the older men like us between age 30 and 45. It's a perpetual cycle. And then two, the men black men between 30 and 45, I would say that demographic change their mindset, way of thinking. And then two, the women start penalizing the shooters and all that, start making them the new corny dudes. You know what I'm saying? Make the shooters the new corny dudes, because trust and believe, if women stop giving vagina to them type dudes and bigger them type up, they change their ways. Women, man, come on now. You know what I'm trying to say, bro.
They glamorize the so-called thug now, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're attracted to. Most of them, anyway. Not all, most.
But he was exactly right, though. Huh? He think just like how I think. Like these little dudes, they react to like they got. First off, a woman can't teach a boy how to be a man. God bless your heart. Y'all do all y'all can, but it takes a man to do that. You understand? Yeah. And that's why I keep my 13-year-old son with me all the time, and I try to lead by example. But kids are like little sponges. Everything, they shape their personality based off how we move.
See, now I agree and disagree with that statement that a woman can't really raise a man, because on the surface, it's hard for him to teach him the exact manly traits and so on that a man can instill in him. But it's some single mothers, man, that done raised some outstanding men. And my mama, one of them, you know what I mean? She raised 3 boys, and man, she raised 3 solid ones. And she taught us off the rip, man, how to carry ourselves, how to appropriately carry everybody accordingly. And man, how to represent yourself, because when you go out that door, you don't just represent you. You represent more people than just you. So when you go out there and you think you just a face card, you go do some old ratchet shit. Man, that applies to everybody that's behind you and standing in that same household with you. So she made that very clear to us early on, man. You represent us correctly, man. Even if you have to do some more extra stuff, that's because it was brought to you and your family where you had to protect your home, man. That's it, man. You don't go out there looking for it and starting it. You just don't.
And see, I believe that was one of them old school traits that was instilled in me, that anything that I do outside the home is a reflection of the home. And I come from a small town where my family is well known. So if I go out and do something stupid, it reflects on my family. So having pride in self was big for me. And I don't know if a lot of young people have that anymore. You know, having pride of family.
Exactly, bro. Because it's like, man, and it got so bad now where they don't, the women, we need women, if y'all can listen, stop putting that energy for the kids to know you only listen to me. He can't tell you nothing, whether the man's in the household or not. Man, please don't down, and then go for the men as well. Don't down the other parent, man. Even if y'all on bad terms, let that kid build his own rapport with the father and or the mother, vice versa. However, the one parent should not, and I repeat, not bury and violate the other parent to these kids, because that happens so frequently. Because y'all not together, that don't mean he ain't shit as a father. You know what I mean? And some women can force men to just say the hell with it and wash their hands up with it. You know what I mean? And that's just being honest.
Yeah, much respect. I just want to jump in, man. I want to say, bro, thank you for having these quality conversations. The word real talk. As far as what Yak said and the other brother who got up here, my apologies. I don't know your name, but
No, it's all right, bro. My name Nation.
Nation, what's up,
Yep.
man?
What's up, bro?
Look here. I gotta, man. What you came in with, bro? The things that we confronted with. This ain't start last week. This ain't start last year. Hell, this didn't start last decade. Like Yak said, we dealing with the presence of repercussions of things that were laid in line. Hell, back when I was 7, 8, 9 years old. I'm in my 40s now. This didn't happen overnight. It ain't gonna go away overnight. Conversations like this may impact and touch people's perspectives, but if you will look at the collective of the group that's on this panel, everybody up here pretty much grown, and now we understand. So it's a whole generation behind us who damn near gonna have to get where we at before they understand, and then you start seeing any kind of real change. You can't wake up in the morning drunk as hell, breath stinking, smelling like Black and Miles and liquor, and be mad at last night without understanding what happened last night. That shit didn't happen in the morning. It didn't happen while you were asleep. That shit happened last night. That's the same approach people got to take to this right here, baby. This old. This been building. This been coming. And back to the other part, to answer Letitia's question, or at least to offer my comment towards it, I'm going to say this here. It's sad. It's sick. And a whole bunch of people saw that coming. What two consenting grown folks do in their bed, that's between them. I don't give a damn. I'm over here in Africa minding my business, raising chickens, doing shit like that. Whatever. But what I will say, there's a culture that may not be our own. If you go back to Greco-Roman era, if you go back to some of the most prominent historical eras that we often learn about outside of what may or may not have existed in Africa and other parts of the world, because every place you could imagine has had a dynasty, it's had a kingdom, it's had something prominent to exist within it or about it. But we always hear about the Greeks. We always hear about the Romans. baby, this shit right here that Letitia asking about, that was a way of life back then. An unabashed way of life back then with no shame in it. So you have to ask, well, why is this resurfacing? Why is this coming up? Why is this being made a thing? Why is this something that people would even push for? Because, baby, everybody ain't like me. Everybody don't think like us. Everybody don't move like us. I ain't never had no interest in no little boys or no little girl.
I mean, exactly. We got a man. And we got to think, man. Like our parents, I'm 50. You know what I mean? So I'm a half a century now. So I done been there. But my parents and grandparents' generation, that was that generation of touching and fucking with little kids and hush hush. You can't talk about it. You know what I'm saying? That was that hush. That was that hush time. You can't say nothing. You know what I'm saying? And you said, man, Christmas time come, Uncle Ray sitting at the table and he done violated their niece in the house. Man, he's supposed to get it off with his fucking head, man. Excuse my language. You know what I'm saying? For real, but they were so used to that. Just, man, let it happen and don't take the man out of the house just because he was providing. Man, that was some shit we should have X'd out a long time ago that we just allowed to happen. And then our generation came along and we became a little more outspoken. So we started talking about it. You know what I'm saying? We started talking about it, and there's too many, man. I've seen it personally in the comfort of people that I know. When little girls speak up about it, too many women sit there and take that nigga side because you just hot in the ass. You running around. Look, man, these kids are built different now, naturally. You know what I'm saying?
Sir.
So you can't blame the little girl because her figure is starting to come together, and you laid up with this old savage ass dude that you call a man. But for real, he a tender, testicle, beta male. I need y'all to promote that. That's the new sucker that's in the hood. I'm being honest. For real.
But,
and man, it's nothing about a child should be salivating about it.
Yes, sir. Okay. I gotta step down, man. My pad almost out of battery. I gotta put it on the charger, and I got my headphones in. But look here, I'm gonna say this, man. Back to my man, the word original point. And along with what brother Yak just said. Look here, man. The disconnect between the older generation and the younger generation is a whole bunch of what brother Yak just said. Y'all know good and damn well some people in your family were touched. You know good and damn well some people in your family will mess with. You got this sick ass uncle and in some cases a sick ass auntie that were messing with them children, but to save face, people kept their mouth closed and they just decide. And don't get me wrong, I believe in God, but everything you can't always take to Jesus. Sometimes somebody need their ass whooped, in my opinion. I don't mean to offend your channel, but that's just me talking.
You good.
But a lot of mysteries and a lot of histories and all of that shit. That's why you got whole families mad at them because they done got on Facebook and they 36 or 37 and they spilling their damn soul because they've been sitting on that shit since they were 6 or 7 years old and they heartbroken. And we talking about relationships and what men got going on and what women got going on and baby mamas and some of that shit. But the one thing ain't nobody said yet, let's talk about the hurt, the pain that's sitting on both sides of that equation. Because you know what's just as bad as being missed. You know what? I'm not gonna make a direct correlation between the two, but what's equally as fucked up, excuse me the word, is a little girl being mistouched or mismanaged or mishandled by somebody who she should have trusted is a little boy hearing 5 or 6 different niggas fuck their mama every other night and they can hear that shit from their damn bedroom. That makes you grow up fucked up as well. So if we're gonna talk about it, baby, let's talk about all of it.
Talk about
The word, my brother, I got to step down. I got to go. I love you, fam. Thank you for allowing me to get up here on your panel. I'm going to be trying to connect with you more.
Yes.
Everybody on the panel, everybody in the chat, much respect, much love. It was a pleasure to make y'all acquaintance. And I will be in the chat. I'm going to put this shit on the charger. And thank you, brother. And
thank you. Thank you for blessing me. Thank you for blessing me. And definitely I'm gonna have to build with that brother. I'm gonna get my channel shut down building with him because he hit some points and I know where he was going, but he ain't touch on it. But a lot of this stuff that we suffer from, it was taught. It's learned behavior. And it don't come from our culture. You know, that's why I always say it's important for us to reestablish culture, not what was given to us, but we can look at what our ancestors did and we can add to it. They built it, we can rebuild it. You know, that's one thing we have to do.
Upgrade.
But I have to do this because my sis been quiet too long, and I need to hear her voice too. And any other ladies, we need that feminine energy with these conversations too. You know, Marlene always step up. So any other ladies, please feel free to hit that link and express your opinions and your views and your perspective.
Okay.
And apologies, sister. We overpowered you. Definitely wasn't trying to do that. I apologize about that.
Oh, it's all good. I just wanted to add to that. You know, I also am a person in my 40s, and I saw, you know, from growing up, you know, being a little girl, things that was just messed up. You know, I can just speak from my perspective growing up in a Black Caribbean family, that there's a lot of hush hush that happens. The crazy uncle, auntie, cousins, whoever in the family, that you know that they're not wrapped too tight, and they're doing wrong things to other little girls or boys in the family. And I don't believe, till this day, I don't believe that they didn't know, because when I called it out, I remember being like maybe 11 years old when I finally got the wherewithal, the guts to speak up and say, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of seeing what they're doing. I'm tired of it. And if somebody isn't going to do something about it, I'm going to do something about it.
Yes.
And that's what got the conversation started, like what you're talking about. And so I spilled my guts. Like, I see that they're doing this and that, and I don't like it. And when they do this and they're around, like, no grown man shouldn't have no 3-year-old little girl on his lap
Sitting on
rubbing
his
her
lap.
legs.
Say it again. Say it again.
And I was like, I said, that makes me uncomfortable and I don't like it. And no adult shouldn't be seeing their little girl sitting on a 40-something-year-old man's lap, rubbing her legs. And
Yes,
y'all just sit there and letting it happen. I said, I don't like it.
like it's the norm.
And they're looking at me like that's rude and stuff. And I said, well, if somebody isn't going to protect that little girl, because she was younger than me, I'm being 11 and she's like 4. I was like, I'm not going to let the same thing that used to happen to me happen to her.
Exactly.
So, and then my dad was like, what you talking about? So I had to have the conversation, which is a whole different topic from now, about things that happened to me. So I said, if nobody has a conversation, if nobody has the courage to speak up for the future little boys and girls, the same things is going to happen, and the same cycle of perversion is going to continue.
Exactly, man.
And I said, I'm not going to have it anymore. And I said, I understand maybe back in the day, everything used to be covered up. I said, but I'm sick of it. I said, I'm not going to let another little boy and little girl in this family be broken and try to, what do they call that? Unalive themselves because of depression and thinking they're crazy, and have messed up thoughts about, you know, do I think I'm homosexual because of this? Do I think I'm this because, and it's all in the mind, that they mess up your mind and make you go to a place that you weren't supposed to go in the first place, because they was messing with you when you were a child. And nobody wants to have those conversations. But at 11, I got the courage to say, I'm done. I've had it.
I would salute to you.
And that's where it started in my family, where things started to change. And I told my parents at 11, I said, if they come in here again, if I see my uncle and my cousin in here, I'm going to take out a 9 and blow them out.
See, there you go. Is it, man? It's normal, man. I know a bunch of young ladies that, you know what I mean, as we was growing up, they was considered promiscuous, to be nicely, to say it nicely. But when you talk to them, and I'm an open book, so I like conversation. So it's like, I've met so many young ladies that's out in the streets, and you know what I mean, they put notches on their belt like regularly because of being molested and shit as a kid. That shit reprograms your whole mentality. Some women become just so quote unquote freaks or hoes, excuse my language. Some totally go into a shell and just be half of even themselves any kind of way. Some just become violent. Some become drug addicts. Some become, man, lesbians. It goes on and on. The effect of that is man, insurmountable, and we don't talk about it. It's supposed to be like it's taboo. That shit ain't taboo to me. You know what I mean? I remember when I was probably about I say 10ish or so. My mom came and asked me, had I ever been anything? I'm like hell no. I'm like, nah, ain't nobody ever touched me or nothing. But it turned out my brothers had been touched by cousins, female cousins in the family, shit like that. But now I realize that's when I realized why my brothers were so super protective of me. They was making sure that nothing happened to me, but it had already happened to them. You know what I'm saying? They wouldn't let me leave the damn room, and they on my hips. You know what I mean? They on my back. They got my coattail. But that's when I realized they was protecting me in their own kind of way without saying something. You know what I'm saying? But man, and I love my brothers for that. I said, man, I love my big bros for they protected me. So when we had a little sister, it was my business. I made it my business to, man, protect my little sister.
And
Yeah.
I want to give quick context to the conversation too, because we're not off topic. This part of the conversation is telling why a lot of the young people are angry too. Not all, but some, because that happened to me. My older cousins, I was 7 years old. I didn't know what was going on. And it was normal. It was a female cousin and her friend kept doing it. I didn't know if it was, I'm 7. I didn't know it was wrong or right. And, where I grew up, I was promiscuous. And I didn't understand the effect until I got older. I'm talking about like 27, 28. And I'm like, hold on, that was wrong. So I'm very protective over my kids now, of anyone. But yeah, this is we still on topic, people. For the replay listeners, we still on topic because now we just talking about where a lot of the anger and rage come from, and why a lot of the younger generation don't have trust in the older generation because of what they go through, and they're afraid to tell. They can't tell. It's hidden. Um, that bottles up. Like Marlene said, she was ready to grab something. She was tired. But go ahead, bro.
Well, I just want to add something, and then I'm going to drop down. When I was growing up, parents didn't have any type of conversation about protecting you. There was no information because they thought if they fed you information about sexuality, that was going to make you promiscuous, that was going to make you pregnant, or all kinds of things, or give you some type of ideas. But you got to understand that giving kids information and knowledge is a protection, because you know what is right and wrong. And it was, and even till this day, I tell my little nieces and cousins about a good touch, a bad touch, and I don't care who it is. If it's your mother, your father, auntie, cousin, nobody got the right to touch you on your private parts, because I wasn't fed that information. So adults now have to feed and protect their children. It doesn't matter if the conversation is uncomfortable to you. You got to think that you're protecting the heart and all kinds of pain and unnecessary anguish. And even till this day, I still have my bouts of depression about what happened to me from 5 to 9 years old. So if adults would step up and have the courage to say, I know I'm afraid and I don't want to talk about it, and it may be too much, never think it's too much. Talk to your children, tell them the things that happen to you, because you never know what is happening. Things are different from when we were younger, and we can't just assume that things are the same. We're living in a sexualized society. So if you don't have the conversation with the kid, some little pervert out there is going to prey on your child or a younger person in your family or a friend. And I'm just going to hop down.
Appreciate you, sis. Appreciate you for blessing me. Cat Daddy in the building. What's up, Sensei? But Brother Yak, man, y'all blessed me today, man. I don't know if I could I couldn't created the content like this without y'all. Um, Conversation went in a lot of different areas, but I think it talks about the disconnection. You know, we have to talk about why we disconnected to understand how we can remedy it. And you know, like African Dreaming said, some of it can't be remedied. None of this stuff began yesterday. You know, we are really reaping the seeds that were sold decades ago. You know, now we just not feeling the effects. You know, I even said that before. All this stuff going on, this been in the making for years and years and decades. You know, a lot of it came post slavery. Um, a lot of these, like I said, it goes back to culture. We don't have the melanated people in this country. The culture that we have, a lot of it was given to us. It's not our own, you know. But that don't mean we can't create our own. And I'm a big component of that. Um, the culture that I developed for my family is by me. And I looked at what the ancestors did, and I took it and I incorporated it to what the times we living in now. You know, African Dreaming said it on that too. You know, I can prepare my son for the life that I live, or I can prepare my adapt what I know to today's society and prepare them like that. And that's what I'm currently doing.
Man, this is great topic, man. Man, I appreciate you, Word. We really need more people to man talk about these and do. And I mean, I appreciate you even thinking about me to come up here to lend my voice, man. So I appreciate it. I gotta hit the store with the wifey, man, but I had to make sure I tapped in with you, man. I gave you my word on that.
Oh, I appreciate you, brother. You know me, man. I'm comfortable when I'm uncomfortable. So conversations like this, I can have all day. You know, I don't get emotional. I don't get too high, and I don't get too low. So I'm a thinker, man. I'm a
Yeah,
solution seeker. That's what I do. I seek out problems just to find solutions for them. So
no doubt.
I
I
appreciate
love
you.
that about you. I wish I could, you know me, I get hyped sometimes. When I start talking, I get my energy will go off. And like dude yesterday, people take it wrong. I mean what I say and I believe and passionate about, man, the truth. I'm on the side of right all the time, man. So, you know, it's love, man. Everybody, man, y'all get a chance. Jack, Chicago's finest. Come talk to your boy. Come sub. Check me out. I got some good content, man. Keeping it real. Love everybody. Everybody be safe. Hey, word. Get at you soon.
Thank you. Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, and drop y'all link in the chat. Just type !word. You know, we all connect with each other and support one another. That's what life is. You know, we have to support one another. But yeah, this has been powerful. You know, and I think with a lot of the information that we heard today, you know, from African Dreaming, from Marlene, from Nashawn to Yak, um, what what I was me personally, this is just how I feel with hearing everything. Um, you know, like I said, I always try to find ways to, you know, you can't fix everything, but I'm not ignorant. I'm ignorant, so I'm gonna try anyway. I just think it's communication. I think that's the biggest thing. Communication is and understanding and patience. With those three components, if you have willing parties, that's the key too. People have to be willing. You know, if one person is willing to listen, the other person has to be willing to talk, and vice versa. Um, like I said, you can't. You're not. You know, African Dreamer said you can't. Some things just can't be fixed. You know, some things don't have remedies to, and it can't if people ain't willing to. You know, that's the biggest thing to me. You know, the young have to be willing to work with the older, and the older have to be willing to work with the young. Until that component exists, nothing will work. You know, if people just keep feeling like their way is right, then that's just how they go feel. That's why I always seek out willing participants, people willing to come together and build on something positive. And that's why I appreciate everybody who come through here, because that's what y'all do. You know, even if you don't hit the panel, even from the chat, y'all help me build. You asked provoking questions that make me think, and I can't do nothing but be grateful for that. It's humbling, because like I said, some of the stuff I talk about is uncomfortable, but that's when I'm at my most comfortable, being uncomfortable. That's just my personality. So I always been one of the people who took the most awkward things and made it work. So I just feel like if you don't do it, right? If you don't do it, it'll never happen. And just like African Dreamer said, it didn't start yesterday. So to make a change, to find solutions for some of these problems, I might not see it in my lifetime. I might not see the change. But if I plant the seed, my children will see it. My children will bear that fruit. My children will bear that fruit. So society may have to be destroyed before it's rebuilt. Honestly, I always said that. Like, some structures have to fall for other great ones to rise. That's just how the cycles work. That's just how it is. You can look through history. After one great empire fell, another one arose. And a lot of these things that's going on is learned behavior, and it's not from people that we should be learning from. I'm gonna say it like that. Um, we got to stop accepting things. Just because somebody give you something don't mean you take it. If it's not beneficial for you, if it's not there to help you prosper, don't take it. You know, take the time out, put the work in, create your own. I did it with various things, and no knock against. Me. I'm a believer. I follow 42 ideas of my heart, so I revere all altars. Any religion, I have respect for. I understand it. You know, um, but me personally, I created my own holidays. I don't have holidays, I have holy days. I took a lot of what I learned from the equinoxes and the solstice, and I incorporate things so my family can still feel involved with the holidays. And that's how it works for us. I don't knock nobody for anything they do, and I accept people for who they are. That's just how um, I found peace in life, you know. Um, I'm very confident in myself. I built myself this way, as anyone and all of us should do. You know, so that's why a person can have a difference of opinion of me, and I'm fine with it. And a lot of those differences they have, I may take some of them and incorporate it in my life because it might be beneficial. You don't know what works until you try it. You know, so that's why I don't knock anyone's experience. I don't take away from anyone's experience because they may have something or did something in their experience that could be the missing piece for mine. You know, oh, y'all got me hyped, man. Y'all, I appreciate y'all so much. But I hate to do it, but I'm gonna end the show. I'm gonna end it. And if y'all take anything from this, take this: communication, patience, and understanding. With that, I feel um, we can have positive interactions with one another. Have patience with people. Try to understand people. And when I talk about communicate, if you want to effectively communicate, uh, you have to reach the person from where they're at. That's just if you want to be effective communicating. You know, um, to effectively communicate, you have to meet the person from where they're at. So with those three keys, I think we can have positive interactions. We can have great builds with one another. We'll be able to understand one another like Yak. Yak is highly passionate and energetic, and sometimes people may take that offensive, but that's just Yak. And I appreciate that. It's refreshing to me. It get me energized, get me ready to go. It's different from the way I do it. I'm laid back, cool, calm, and collect you know. But you see, we can coexist in the same space because of understanding. You know, that's the key. We have to understand one another. You know, me always build on respect. You know, I respect people for who they are because that's what I command. I command respect for who I am, you know, and that's not hard. It's not hard, you know. We talked about decorum yesterday, you know, just having good behavior, you know, being polite, being nice to people. You know, me personally, I don't change. Miss V, what's up? Make it go viral in the building. Appreciate you, sir. Yeah, that's just how I function. You know, everybody different, and those differences are beautiful to me. It's like going outside and seeing a bunch of different flowers. You know, and now I get to select which flower I want to smell. I have a variety. With people, I have the opportunity to experience different things through them. That's what we have. You know, so the differences, we can't get hung up on the differences. Let's start focusing on the positive. And a lot of times we influence one another, you know. So maybe your good nature will influence someone. That'll rub off on someone. You know. That's how I rock. That's how I roll. You know. No matter what environment or no matter what group of people you put me around, I'm always be me. And I'll hopefully my good nature rub off on them and their good nature rubs off on me. You know. That's just how I rock. But my wife is upstairs cooking, and that food smells so good. I hate to end it. But I appreciate everybody coming through. I appreciate everybody who took the panel. I appreciate everybody putting comments in the chat. And y'all had the chat rocking. I couldn't even keep up with them. I appreciate y'all so much. Y'all don't understand how humbled and grateful I am. I'm almost at 400 subscribers. I'm excited. I know it's a small feat, but I take all the small victories. And I use that as motivation and inspiration to get to the main goal. Always do that. Take the small victories too, because they are important, and use that as fuel. Use that to fuel the fire within you to keep going. And I don't even, I just appreciate y'all so much. I'm going to try to come back tonight. I don't know what I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to listen back to this while I'm eating. And I'm just grateful again. But y'all know what I always say. These conversations are what build nations. And always care about how you feel. And that's all I got. But, you know, if I say anything, if anybody on this panel say anything to resonate with you, do me a favor, hit that share button. Tell somebody to tell somebody. Help me spread the word.
They be switching up like seasons. I'ma keep it real just for one reason. Amen, kill all my demons. Diamonds dance when we hop in the pants while I'm talking. I got niggas that the clean nigga check if the chat walk down.